Welcome to the NC Spin After Spin. Additional comments from our panelists just available on our website. I want to ask each of you, what do you wish you had said on last week's show, but you didn't? Rufus Edmondson.
Well, Tom, when you tell us something we don't know, we ran out of time, and you did a valiant effort to try to keep us on track. I was referring to Walter Jones coming up on a report where the Pentagon had hired a company at $50 million to train intelligence officers in the Afghan Army, and they spent $50 million on Rolls Royces, on $400,000 salaries for their spouses, and you know, Walter has asked President Trump to quit that war. If this isn't enough to say get out of there, I know of nothing else that you can do, and I wish that people would think about that. $50 million to do nothing.
I'd like to give my spouse a $400,000.
Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
Chris Fitzsimon, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
Well, we were talking about the school grades that just came out, and the A through F report cards, and I was mentioning that again, the schools with the highest percentage of poverty generally did worse, and a lot of them, the vast majority of the D's and F grades were in low schools. So it's interesting. I want to remind people, just a few weeks ago in the show, we were talking about the State Board of Education being forced by the legislature to make budget cuts, and Bill Kobe, the former state Republican Party chair, was lamenting the fact that the place he had to make the cuts because of restrictions made partially was in helping low-performing schools. So the irony that we're complaining about low-performing schools when the General Assembly forced the State Board of Education to cut funds at DPI that help low-performing schools, I think is worth a note.
You think we can connect some dots
something's
here?
Going on there.
Yeah. John Hood, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
We were talking about economics, about the recent job trends in North Carolina, and I made a point I want to just emphasize a little bit more. I know it's a little bit of a hobby horse of mine, but it's really important that we understand that when we see monthly job reports, this is how much the unemployment rate went up or down, this is how many jobs are created. Those are surveys. It's like asking people who you're going to vote for governor, mayor, or president. They're not useless, they're obviously valuable, but they have a margin of sampling error that related to how large the sample is. The job counts, how many jobs did we add, those are pretty useful because they come from lots and lots of businesses saying this is how many people we employed in the last quarter or the last month. But the unemployment numbers come from samples in North Carolina of, I don't know, like 11 or 1,200 people. That doesn't mean they're useless, but they bounce around a lot, and politicians jump on and grab things that, you know, the North Carolina's unemployment rate is below the national average or above the national average. Most of recent history, it hasn't been either. It's been statistically indistinguishable from the national average, but try telling a politician that.
Well, they try to put it in the best light for them.
Or the worst light for their opponents.
Exactly. Rick Henderson, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
When we were talking also about economics and the like, and talking about the millennials and whether or not they would benefit from public works projects, I mean, I think that there is a role for some of the millennials, especially in the tech sector, to help with some of these public works projects and to be involved in some infrastructure-related businesses. But basically, there is a disconnection, I think, between expectations that millennials have and what actually is out there and what's available for them, especially when so many of them come out of college with massive debt.
Yeah, no question about that. Well, thanks for watching the After Spin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.